Wait, so yes? Okay. Hi, everybody. Welcome back to the YFC Kitchen. I'm Emily. With me is Kathryn. We were online last Friday making Valentine's Day cookies as like a special thing for Valentine's Day. Today we're going to be doing a recipe for our Hub Harvest program. If you don't know what that is, or through this video you become interested in it, please email us or send us a message and we will give you the information and try to get you set up. So today we're making a Crockpot recipe, and we're gonna make sweet and sour meatballs, and hopefully once we're done this video and you've turned on your Crockpot, you should have dinner ready for you tonight. You could put anything really with these sweet and sour meatballs. You could put some rice, some potatoes, you could even throw in some just like frozen French fries and frozen peas or whatever you've got on hand. This recipe kind of goes with anything. We're just gonna make the main portion, the meat part. So we're gonna get started. Kathryn's gonna show you what to do. I'm gonna give the instructions, but then Kathryn knows some like helpful tips and tricks of different ways that we can alter this recipe. So she'll interrupt me sometimes to correct me or give us better advice. So first thing we're gonna do is make our meatballs. So literally we throw everything on the meatball side of the ingredient list into the bowl at the same time. So for you in the Hub Harvest program, you've got your recipe, everything that says meatball ingredients, all in the same bowl right now. So that is 2 pounds of ground beef, which Kathryn's got ready to go.
Trying not to dump it on the counter.
Yeah. And then Kathryn's diced 1 medium onion all ready to go, and she's gonna dump that into the meat bowl, and then she's gonna put half a cup of milk. And our milk technically expired the other day, but we're gonna still try to use it. If we were serving you in person, we probably wouldn't do this, but we're going to. I think you could probably try and use like some chicken broth or something if you didn't happen to have milk on hand. It's just a liquid fat in it that we want. Then we're gonna add 1 egg. I gave you 2 because our eggs are kind of small. So it's up to you if you want to use another one. If it's,
I probably will.
Yeah.
They are really small eggs.
So the eggs are like kind of a thing that helps everything stick together. It's called a binding agent. Yeah. So it's like a glue kind of. Okay. Next we're gonna put 2/3 of a cup of breadcrumbs. You could also use cracker crumbs. So like if you have an old bag of crackers, just like crunch up all the crackers inside the bag or roll it over with a rolling pin so that you have like little flakes of crackers. You can use that too. Then some salt and pepper. The recipe says 1/8 of a teaspoon and 3/4 of a teaspoon, but I feel like that's very like
subjective.
Yeah, and like 1/8 of a teaspoon, I feel like that's just a pinch.
That would be for the pepper, but
yeah, the pepper is 1/8, and then the salt is 3/4. Maybe the salt is more.
Usually
important.
Salt is more because you need a little bit more, where pepper is a strong flavor, so you don't need as much pepper and things.
Okay.
I cannot get this container closed. I give up.
The salt's just gonna be there. We're gonna just hope that it stays.
Ignore it.
Yeah.
We're just gonna pretend like
all over the counter.
Like the vanilla last week.
Yeah, I forgot. So, you could keep going. We're gonna put 2 teaspoons of Worcestershire sauce in here. If you don't have that, you could also use soy sauce. It's pretty similar. Again, it's just like an acidic liquid. That's a nice thing about cooking. You can usually substitute things with things that have similar chemical makeup. I forgot to preheat the oven, so I'm gonna explain that now.
Yeah, go for it.
So what we're gonna do with the meatballs to try to help them from falling apart in the crock pot is we're actually just gonna pop them in the oven for a little bit of time. It's not gonna cook them all the way through. We'll rely on the crock pot cooking time to do that, but it's gonna just create like a little crisp crust on the outside that will help keep the meatball in its shape. So we're just gonna do that for the time it takes us to make the rest of the ingredients, which shouldn't take long.
So now do I start mixing this?
Yeah.
Is that everything? Okay. Well, You could try using a spatula to mix this, but the easiest way that I have found to mix meatballs is with your hands. It's gross, like raw meat's disgusting, but it is the easiest way to do it. And you just want to like keep going till everything is well blended and you don't necessarily see individual components in your bowl.
Sorry, I left you. I thought Estefina was here.
Gotcha.
So you're just mixing everything together?
Yeah.
Yeah, so when the meatballs go in the oven, we'll make some sauce. And again, it's just going to be like basically mixing everything together, except for there's one special thing that you do.
Okay. So once it's mixed, that is what you want it to look like. The only thing that should really stand out individually is the onion pieces.
Okay.
So after this, Emily's gonna help me, and we're just gonna roll them. You don't want them too big. I don't know how. Maybe a ping pong size ball or a golf ball.
Yeah.
Here.
Thank you.
Move that in between.
I don't know if people can see me, but
Oh, well.
I'm here. Oh, how did I just do this?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And when you roll them, you want to try and keep them all about the same size, because otherwise some will cook much faster than others. And they may start to either burn or they like start to fall apart sometimes when they're overcooked, especially in a crock pot.
I think I'm making mine. Do they look the same size?
I think so.
Okay.
They don't have to be exact, like
Perfection's the only way.
not at all.
Oh.
Then don't come into my kitchen.
I think don't come into YFC, maybe. Like
Maybe. Maybe.
Ooh, there's like a really big piece of onion here.
Yeah, I had one too.
There, that's fine. Just pull it apart.
It's kind of like playing with Play-Doh. Like
Kind of,
when you play with Play-Doh and you make Play-Doh balls, it's the same kind of idea. It's just grosser.
I was gonna say.
It's just like raw meat, and you should really wash your hands after, because raw meat can like make you really sick if you don't.
Yeah, don't lick your fingers
Yeah.
at the end of it. I don't know why you would, but you never know. There's a lot of people out there that might. This is kind of cool to make meatball. I usually buy those like frozen, like pre-made boxes.
I just don't really eat a lot of meatballs because, well, I don't feel like putting in the work a lot at home.
It is, you know.
And yeah, they're kind of expensive to buy.
They can be, yeah, that's for sure. Especially the meat one. Oh my gosh, it's tasty, but it's expensive. I really could have managed my space.
I was gonna say they're not cookies, so they don't spread like cookies
what,
do. You don't have to
It
space
goes to
them quite
show-
like you would cookies.
It goes to show exactly what I'm used to doing. It's like total.
I mean, don't put them right next to each other because they will still bake together. You don't want them touching, but
But you can have them kind of closer.
yeah, they don't have to be quite as far apart.
Okay. I filled my tray.
I have not.
Okay, I'll help you. I did not make the very big pieces of parchment, but that's because actually I think I can fit some in here.
Yeah.
That's because we have like pre-cut pieces here at YFC, and I think if you get them from the dollar store, they also come in pre.
You can get the pre-cut from
Yeah.
the dollar store, yeah.
Which usually fit most normal baking pans. These are just not normal baking pans. These are like weird ones.
These are like commercial kitchen baking pans.
Yeah. deal with this.
Okay, go for it.
Yeah. Okay. So now we gotta wash our hands.
We're gonna put this bowl in the sink. And then yes, we will wash our hands.
Here, I'll move this out of the way for you.
We should all know how to wash our hands by now.
Yeah, sing the happy birthday song. Scrub your nails, scrub your thumbs.
Yeah,
in between your hands.
especially with meat, it kind of likes to get stuck under your fingernails. So try and make sure if it's there to rinse it out as best you can.
Because it'll smell bad.
Ugh. I don't know if that's the soap or just fatty meat, but my fingers feel like really gross still.
Like filmy?
Yeah.
Yeah, me too. No, I think
Okay.
it's this because I'm feeling it and I haven't even washed my hands yet.
Okay. There you go. I'll leave that on for you.
Thank you. Ooh. Your hands are so tough. This water is really warm. I'm going to make it colder because I'm a baby.
I use really hot water.
Yeah, you do, man. It's like, I was like, ooh. It's like bath, like when you take a really hot bath.
Yeah.
Okay. Wow. All right.
So once you're done washing your hands, we're just gonna pop those in the oven for probably only 5 or 10 minutes, basically just while we mix up the sauce in the crock pot, and then we'll add them back into the crock pot once we're done that.
I forgot to turn on both ovens, so
Oops.
that's fine. They'll probably be fine.
How
if
high
not-
are we putting them in at?
I put that at 400.
Okay. If you know your oven really well and it leans towards the colder side, you can always turn it up to even 425 or 450. They're going to be in for such a short amount of time. You don't have to worry too much about them burning, but you got to watch and make sure they don't dry out or burn.
Yeah. Okay, so while we wait for our meatballs to cook a little bit, we're going to put our sauce together. And you can mix your sauce straight into your crock pot because that's what you're going to cook it in anyways.
I did this for part of it.
Oh, right. Yeah. Okay. So the first thing that you're going to do is strain your pineapples, which we've already done, right?
Yes.
Okay, so basically we took a can of pineapple tidbits and then we put a bowl on the bottom, a strainer on top, and we poured the pineapple like all the way through the strainer so that the juice and the tidbits were separated. We did this because we want the juice, especially for the sauce. The tidbits are like optional, so some people hate cooked pineapple in their food and some people love it. So you can kind of decide if you want to leave your pineapple pieces in or not, but when you measure the juice specifically, you want to strain them to separate them first, just to make sure you get the right amount of juice. So we did that part already. So we have 2 cans worth or 28 ounces of pineapple juice. And then next we're going to combine everything else. So we're going to mix our can of pineapple juice with 2/3 a cup of vinegar and a cup of brown sugar, 2 tablespoons of soy sauce, and a teaspoon of garlic powder.
Okay, so it was 2/3 of the oil, vinegar.
Yeah. And then the other thing we're going to add is 2 tablespoons of cornstarch because it's like a thickening agent that's going to help things be more like gelatinous. And Kathryn has a trick for how to make that work better in the crock pot style, because this recipe originally was from a stovetop recipe and we like just changed it to make it fit in the crock pot so that you don't have to stand in front of the stove all the time, because who wants to do that?
How much soy sauce was it?
2 tablespoons.
Okay. Oops.
You just put the whole thing in there.
Yeah, I ended up, apparently there was really close to 2 tablespoons
Oh
in
wow,
that container.
good job pre-measuring. Yeah.
Okay.
So now we've got a cup of brown sugar and 2 tablespoons
Yes.
of cornstarch.
So for this part, you can put it right in your crock pot, but it may not work as well. What I recommend is you take your brown sugar in a separate bowl, and you take your cornstarch. You measure it into the bowl with your brown sugar. 2 tablespoons of cornstarch.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm using half
And
a tablespoon.
of garlic powder.
Okay. Oops. I'm having challenges with my cornstarch. All right, that's done.
If I had been you, I would have just dropped the bag like everywhere. So what are you doing?
You're combining them in a bowl together. So I'm gonna add my garlic powder in here too. You said it was how much garlic powder?
A teaspoon.
Okay. Garlic powder you can add more or less if you like a lot of garlic. Like, you know, it's up to you. That one's kind of a flavor preference thing. So then you're gonna actually like mix them together. You can use a spoon if you don't have a whisk. I'm using a whisk because brown sugar likes to go lumpy. And so you're gonna mix them together until the cornstarch is thoroughly mixed into your brown sugar and it starts to just look like lighter brown sugar, because the cornstarch actually will stick to the brown sugar, so that when you mix it into your mixture, the cornstarch doesn't all sink to the bottom and just like stick to the bottom of your crock pot and turn into this like super like lumpy gooey mess, which cornstarch will do if you don't mix it right. So once you've done that, it doesn't have to be perfect. You're just gonna pour it in your crock pot, which you want your crock pot on low for the sauce. And I would just continue to whisk it until it's dissolved into your pineapple juice and whatever else you put in here, so the soy sauce and everything.
Did you just get a pineapple tidbit stuck in your whisk?
You can, at this point, just add the pineapples into the sauce as well. Like Emily said, it's a preference. If you don't like pineapple, you don't have to leave it in. The pineapple juice will not give it a strong pineapple flavor. Keeping the pineapple in probably will. It's just a matter of personal preference. I like pineapple, so I'm just leaving it in.
The other thing I've done when I had to separate pineapple tidbits from the juices is I froze the tidbits and then used them in smoothies later, because they were better in smoothies with like bananas and coconut milk. It's a great like tropical tasting smoothie.
So at this point, we can check on the meatballs.
Okay, they're probably like
Good enough?
good enough. Yes.
Yeah.
So I'll make.
I'm gonna try and scoop a little out just so that you can see. That's not gonna work. Let me try a measuring cup. That might work.
Oh yeah, these are. This is basically what
This is sort of what your liquid in the crock pot is going to look like. It's kind of like a brownish yellow color, because we added soy sauce. Okay, they're done?
Yeah, but I won't take out the other pan until we do those ones, since they went in after.
So as you can see, meatballs are like just lightly brown. That's all we need. And we're just gonna transfer them, maybe. They don't want to come off the parchment.
We might have to I might have to help you.
You might. And you're just gonna put them in your crock pot with your sauce.
Here,
Try
I'll
not
just
to pull
loosen
all
them for
apart.
you.
Thank you.
I'll be the loosening person. I thought they'd be greasy enough on their own.
I thought so too.
Oh well, that's fine. I guess you could also use aluminum foil if you didn't have
Parchment paper?
yeah, as long as you made sure that no little bits of foil got into your crock pot after.
Just don't use wax paper.
Yeah, don't use that. It's happened before here and it was not a good time. Also, with the aluminum foil, it's important that it doesn't flake off into your little mixture, because it's toxic to eat aluminum. So don't do that. Okay, I'm gonna.
We like you, and we don't
want
want
you
you
to
to get
live.
sick.
Yeah. So. Remembering to turn off the ovens.
Always a good idea.
Yep. One time I was baking a cake and I left it in the oven for 4 hours because I forgot that it was there.
Oops.
That was really, really burnt.
I've never done that.
It was
I
bad.
did, however, turn off my oven one time by accident.
While you were
My
trying to bake
timer
something?
went off. So my timer went off and my cupcakes weren't quite done. And I thought I was turning the timer off and I accidentally turned my whole oven off.
Oh no.
And like for an hour, I couldn't figure out for an hour why every time I checked them, like they weren't baking more. I'm like, what is wrong with my oven?
Oh no.
Then I realized I turned it off. That was great.
These are definitely slightly less cooked than the other ones.
But they seem okay, like for the most part.
For the most part. You might have a few stray chunks, but I mean, so my favorite thing to eat with sweet and sour pork is putting this on top of rice.
Yes.
Is that how you do it?
Yeah, that's how I do it. Or
White rice.
quinoa, if I have quinoa.
Oh, quinoa.
Sometimes I'll cook it with quinoa, if you like that.
My husband's put it on a sandwich before
Really?
and make like a weird sub thing.
That's really interesting.
Yeah, honestly, like whatever. I feel like traditionally it's put on top of white rice, but
Yeah, typically, like, this would be something you'd eat over rice.
Yeah.
If you really wanted, like, you could eat it over pasta even. It does not have to
oh
be.
yeah, it'd be good over like egg noodles or like ramen noodles, like you know those
Yeah.
Mr. Noodle packages. If you like take out the spice and you just cook the noodles, be good on that. And yeah, that's it. So now you just turn it on. Is on low, right?
Yeah, it's on low.
Okay. So you turn it on low for 4 to 6 hours.
4 to 6 hours, yeah.
And then, like most crock pots, once the timer goes off, it'll just keep it on warm until you personally come and like manually turn it off. But just make sure, in case you're not planning on eating it until a little bit later, that you don't just leave it cooking for too long or off completely. Because if it turns off and you let it sit on the counter for too long, then it's going to get to a temperature that's like unsafe to eat. And you won't be able to fix it once you've done that, because some weird bacteria and stuff will grow in it and make you really sick. So make sure that you eat it while it's still warm, or cool it down really fast in the fridge by like taking it out of the Crockpot container, putting it into a different container, and then sticking it in the fridge to let it cool down really quick.
And you may want to check it periodically if you're at home to do that, just to give it a stir and make sure things aren't sticking. Kind of like ovens, crock pots aren't all the same, and sometimes they cook really fast. I know mine sometimes gets really, really hot. So I've had things where I put it on for like 4 hours, and after like 2 hours it's done. So just keep an eye on that. Pretty simple.
Yeah, so that's it. So we're going to keep doing this for the next couple of Fridays. And if you're already signed up for Hub Harvest and you have questions about this recipe or some of our other recipes, you can always reach out to Kathryn or I, or you can email programs@yfclondon.com and Becca will answer you there, and we will get in touch with you if you'd like to sign up for the Hub Harvest program, or you'd like to hear about other things that we're doing in the kitchen and at the center, because we've always got lots going on. So yeah. Any other things? Did I forget anything?
I don't think so.
Okay,
I
well,
think that's it.
enjoy your meatballs. Thank you for cooking with me, Kathryn, and have a good weekend.